All right, you guys, we are in year two of the rebuild. And year two of the rebuild, we've gone through the free agency already. And there's a lot of Lions that have had the opportunity to be re-signed for their production and the things that they brought to the table in 2021, rewarding those guys with either an extra year or giving those guys the bag. You know, guys like Tracy Walker definitely deserved. He played phenomenal for the Lions last season with over 100 and something tackles. But you ultimately want to see the Lions get better, and you want to see them grab impact players in 2022. Now, I did get a chance to see the presser and the comments of one GM of Brad Holmes. I did get a chance to see some of the things that he talked about, and he talked about why he did not grab a lot of free agents from the outside and things of that nature. Now, normally when you're doing a rebuild, you know, there's different ways of how people do different things. That just lets you know that we're all unique in some type of form of fashion. But normally you would think of a rebuild as tweaking the roster just a little bit. You would be thinking of grabbing a couple new players onto the team to add. You know, you're not saying go out and get the big names, because we knew that the Lions were not going to be heavy spinners this season, and rightfully so. You needed to be frugal with the money. You did not need to go out there and make all of these splurges with signings. We did that like a couple seasons ago when we grabbed a guy like Trey Flowers and paid him $90 million, and that did not never work out. So you just don't want to continue to repeat that. And I understand the process of what Brad Holmes has to go through, because one of the jobs of a GM is to make sure that the finances of the team is looking good. And, you know, rightfully so, he did a great job as far as being conservative with the money. So hopefully, you know, even though he brought a lot of the guys back from the 3-13 roster, hopefully these guys will be able to be a little bit better in 2022. The ultimate goal now from here on out is they have brought a lot of guys back. And I know a lot of people were even probably shocked and surprised that they signed Jarrett Davis back. I definitely was shocked. Did not know that the Lions were even talking to him. But once I saw the deal, I'm not mad about the deal, because pretty much it's peanuts. You know, it's not a lot of money that they signed him back for. So there's an opportunity for us to get better. And I want to see us get better, man. I want to see us get some all-pro caliber players in here in this draft. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen overnight or even when they draft these guys this season, but you want to be headed in the right directions. You know, Detroit Lions desperately need faces on this roster. And you know what I mean when I'm telling you and when I'm talking about faces. Basically, I'm saying that these guys need guys that stand out on the team. We need impact players. Every team in the NFL has impact players, guys that you know that's going to show up week in and week out, and they're very consistent. That's the thing about impact players. They're consistent week in and week out, and that's what this team lacks. We don't have the star power on our team. We're playing with a bunch of guys that would probably be second and third string guys on any other team. So we have to do the best with what we have, and I understand that totally. And I'm being patient in the process, because I know that these guys, especially I know the deal that Campbell signed. He signed a 6-year deal. So I knew that he was going to be here for a while, because the rebuild is going to take a minute. You know, you got to undo all the nastiness of the business side that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia did by bringing a lot of the Patriots guys in, and finally being able to do away with a lot of those guys that was on the Patriot roster that we brought in. But at the same time, now what you should be ultimately looking for this season is ultimately trying to get a little bit better. You went 3-13 and won last season. So you would want to probably win 5 to 6 games this season. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that the Lions are going to make the postseason. I'm not going to do anything foolish like that. But what I'm saying is I want to see this roster get better. I want to see guys make plays. I want to see the team be more consistent. I want to see guys, you know, and it's a great thing that, you know, Jared Goff, you know, being able to hear that Jared Goff and the receivers are working on getting chemistry already. DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds, and Amon-Ra St. Brown are in California working out and trying to get better. And that is a great thing. You definitely want to see these guys get the chemistry and things of that nature. To me, this is the year where Jared Goff ultimately gets evaluated. We know if he plays well, the Lions will probably hand him an extension, because normally that's what they do. When guys play well, they end up giving them an extension. and Jared Goff will pretty much be your quarterback. Now, right now, it looks like they're sold on Jared Goff being the quarterback. From everything that I've heard from the President Rod Wood, and also from Brad Holmes, to me, it's not looking like we're going to take a quarterback, and I'm cool with that. And I gotta respect it. At the same time, do I like that we brought back Tim Boyle and David Blah? I do not. I do not. That's a lot of that's where a lot of my frustration comes from as being a fan in my fandom, is that we brought those two guys back when they didn't win last year, when Jared Goff was out, and we bring them back. And I know probably we brought them back because they're familiar with the playbook and they're going to do what we want ultimately at the end of the day. And maybe they just want to give these guys another shot. Will the Lions decide to pick up a quarterback in this draft? I do not know. From right now, it doesn't look like Malik Willis will be a Detroit Lion, but you never know what can happen. Only thing I can say is that I want to see this team get better. I want to see playmakers on this roster, and I want to see some upgrades. I want to see plug and play guys like Q's, guys that have great instincts. That's what you want to see being developed in Detroit. You want to see the young fellas get developed. You want to see some of the veterans be able to teach some of these younger guys. But at the same time, you want to see a team that is going in the right direction. And I know a lot of people feel like Brad Holmes is doing a phenomenal job, and only time will tell. Only time will tell. Last season, a lot of the picks, they did pan out. Some of those guys did get injured. But at the same time, this season, what is year 2 going to look like? Who are the players that we're going to be bringing in here that are going to be franchise game-changing players? Because if you're the Detroit Lions, you know that you need talent on your roster. How could you walk away out of the 2022 NFL draft class and not walk away with some studs? You got 9 picks. And from the looks of it, when you really look at the situation, nobody really has to come up and really trade with the Lions. They can stay exactly where they're at. Now, for the Lions, that would be good if they can get some more capital. But who is the player that somebody's coming up to get beside probably a Malik Willis or maybe a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson? I don't know. Who are you coming up to get? That's the biggest thing that you got to think about with the trade back scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the team is coming up, who are they coming up for? Because last season, we saw the 49ers come up out of nowhere, and they took that 3rd spot over to be able to draft Trey Lance. So this season, what player in this draft are you coming up for? There's a couple teams that need a quarterback. We know that Seattle is in need of a quarterback. They have Drew Lock as their quarterback right now. But they are in need of a quarterback. Carolina Panthers in need of a quarterback. And the Pittsburgh Steelers look like they still in play with the quarterback just by the deal that they gave to Mitchell Trubisky. I think it was like a 2-year deal, like $14 million or something like that. So it wasn't a real heavy deal, but they're going to give Trubisky the opportunity to try to win that starting position over there in Pittsburgh, because now they're rebuilding after all these seasons with Big Ben Roethlisberger. So the Detroit Lions have to have it on their mind is this. The players that they draft, whether it be a safety, whether it be a linebacker, whether it be somebody on the line that's getting to the quarterback, pass rush, whatever position they decide to tackle and grab in this draft, they have to be impact players. Because when you look at the roster right now, there is no one on this team that makes you afraid on Sundays. There's guys that can make plays, like I've said before. There's guys on this team that can make plays. DeAndre Swift can make plays, but do he scare you? No. Craig Reynolds can make plays on this team, but do he scare you? No. Guys like Josh Reynolds can make plays, but do he scare you? DJ Chark can make plays. Do he scare you? No. So this, football is always a team sport, and it's always won by the team. It's not just one guy going out there and doing everything, and that's how they win it. No, it's a team sport. It's a team effort. And like I said before, guys, until the Detroit Lions learn how to play as a unit, we won't win. We must learn how to be a unit, just like an army. You have to learn how to function off that one single command. Whatever you commanded to do out there, whatever your job is to do, you got to do it to the fullest of your capabilities. You got to go out there and give them your all. So I expect Brad Holmes, even though he didn't have the greatest, from my perspective, from your perspective, he may have had the best free agency class. From my perspective, it wasn't the greatest free agency, but I'm willing to give these guys the benefit of the doubt to see what they're going to do in year two. He decided to go this way and not take a lot of guys from the outside, bring a lot of our guys back. So now, as a fan, you have to sit back and see what's going to happen. Now, if you get the same results that you had from last season to this season, then you know that there's a problem with the rebuild, because you should be getting better. We should not be regressing, guys. And I'm just going to keep it a hundo with you. We should not be regressing in 2022. We should be moving forward. And I ain't saying, that the Lions are going to go out there and rip off all these wins. I'm saying if I won 3 games last season, I should be able to progress to win at least 5 to 6 games this season. Yeah, the schedule is not as bad, but at the same time, we still are the Detroit Lions. So you got to put that in perspective, that we are the Detroit Lions and that we don't win football games. Just because you're playing a lesser schedule and it's not, the schedule is kind of favorable in your eyes, that doesn't mean that the Lions are going to go out there and beat everybody. So we just got to be able to pump our brakes with that. But at the same time, I want to see Brad Holmes bring since he had more of a kind of a stay still type of free agency to me. I think that ultimately at the end of the day, show me that you're for real with these draft picks. Show me and show this fan base that you are serious about getting this franchise better. Because at the end of the day, that's what he's going to be judged on, the draft picks, the guys that you bring in here. We should be going to the next level with these players, man. We shouldn't have to continue to draft guys at the same position year in and year out. We're study getting offensive linemen. We're study getting defensive linemen. Even though I know that you're gonna get those positions to fill in to be depth positions every year, because that's just part of the game. You're gonna get these positions every year, but there needs to be a specific area where the Lions are really focusing on. But it looks like this season will be the defense. So everybody that want defense, you're going to get what you want. And it's going to be probably more defensive guys being drafted on this team, which is a good thing as well. It's not a bad thing. But you do need to add just a couple pieces on offense, whether it's picking up another receiver, doubling up on 2 receivers, or if you decide to grab a backup quarterback to give competitions to the other quarterbacks. I mean, you need to give it a look. Now, with the running back position, I think that the Lions are pretty straight with the running back position right now, because you got a lot of guys that are running backs for the Lions. You got Jamal Williams, you got DeAndre Swift, you have Jamar Jefferson, you have Godwin, and you also have Craig Reynolds. So you have a lot of running backs in place right now for the Detroit Lions. So, but if they wanted to release a guy and pick up another guy in this draft, they could do that too as well. We don't know what ultimately the Lions are going to do. Could they pick up another tight end? Yes, they could. There's things that they could do if they wanted to do it. But I know that right now, currently, they only have 9 picks in the draft. And with those 9 picks, the Lions need to hit on all of them. I used to be like, well, they need to hit on 7 out of 10 of those guys. But no, I'm just saying because they don't have 10, it's actually 9. They need to hit on all of them. All of those guys need to be able to come in and play at some type of magnitude to be able to help this team get better. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what you want to see as a fan. That's what I want to see as a fan. I want to see the Detroit Lions get better. Talk is cheap. You can talk to your nose turn red. Talk is cheap. We can talk all day about what we should be doing, what we could have did, but the results are going to be on Sunday. You're going to see the results on Sunday if this team is getting better. If this team is starting to develop guys to be playmakers, if the Lions are being noticed, if that linebacker is being noticed as a hard-hitting linebacker and a guy that's not to be played with, you're going to notice that. If your edge rush is a guy that's getting to the quarterback and breathing down the quarterback's nostrils, you're going to be able to know that because you're going to see it by his performance. You're going to see it by his performance. If the safety is making plays, picking off passes, and coming up and knocking the ball loose or whatever, you're going to see that on Sundays. So like I said, guys, talk is cheap. We can talk all day about what this team should be doing, but you ultimately got to do it. You got to carry this thing out on Sundays. You got to go out there, Brad Holmes, not you personally, but you got to go out there and make this thing happen with the draft. I don't expect nothing less from you. I expect for you to hit on all 9 picks because the Lions need it that bad. You're talking about a franchise that doesn't have a face right now. We don't have a face. I can't really even say that Jared Goff is a face. Of course, he was a number 1 pick overall, and he was a solid quarterback. But at the same time, I still remember what Jared Goff did at the beginning of the season. I can't forget that. I can't forget what he did at the beginning of the season. So hopefully he'll come out and play well. To me, competition is always good. It's always good to notice that somebody's behind you that want to take your spot. If you mess up, you're not out there playing well and performing at a high level, then you get pulled. Philadelphia did that with Carson Wentz. He wasn't playing well. Guess what? Time to insert the second round draft pick that we picked up, Jalen Hurts. Time to insert him now and see what this kid can do. And they did that. So the Lions got to find playmakers, man. I don't know how many times I had to say it, guys. This whole thing for the Lions this offseason is about getting better. And if you're not getting better, then what are you really doing? What are you doing, Detroit, if you're not getting better? Now, when you brought all of these free agents in, a lot of these guys, we don't know who some of these guys is. And some of the guys, we do know who they are because they was a part of our team. But you got guys like Chris Board that you brought in that we don't really know too many things about, that we have to learn this guy. We don't know if he's going to have an opportunity to start on the defense. All we know is that this guy was great at special teams. That's all we know. And then the tight end that you got from the Saints, we don't know too much about him. What we do know is that he can block. He's great at blocking. There's so many things that's on the table for the Lions, man. But to be able to be competitive and to be a good team and to be really, really, truly headed in the right direction, you got to hit on these draft picks. It is a must for the Lions to hit on their draft picks. All 9 picks we need to hit on because we need that much talent on our team. We don't have it. And then when 2023 come, the icing on the cake should be in that season. That's the season where you like, okay, now we were really heading in the right direction. This is the season that will ultimately probably make the playoffs this season. We're looking forward to making the playoffs. This season, not so much because we're still rebuilding. But in that third season, you need to be contending to try to get into the playoffs. That's what the Lions need to be doing. So I think if the Lions go out and get the positions that they need, but not only get those positions, get players that can impact the game, then I think that we'll be headed in the right direction. I understand what Brad Holmes is doing, and believe me, guys, I want to have the faith and the confidence in Brad Holmes, just like you guys want to have faith and confidence in your GM. I understand that, but your GM also has to do the job, and that's to be able to go out there and make this roster better, to go out there and get the players that the Detroit Lions need to be better. That's what Brad Holmes needs to be focused on, getting this roster better. It's not just rebuilding. It's about getting better, too, at the end. It's about getting better. That should be the goal because ultimately, if you're not winning games as a GM, guess what? Eventually, you're going to be on the hot seat. And eventually, you know what I'm saying? You're going to end up getting fired. And I don't want to see these guys get fired. I want to see these guys excel. I want to see these guys take this franchise to heights where it's never been before. And I know you guys want that. I want it. But only thing that is going to make that happen is that we really, really evaluate the talent. We really, really go through all of these players until we find the guys that meet the standards of what we want in 2022. And that's ultimately to be out there and to win football games. And for some of these guys, you want to see some of these rookies make a name for themselves and eventually be Pro Bowl caliber players or all pro caliber players. I know that some people think that the Pro Bowl is a joke, but at least you want your guy to be headed that way, even if it is a joke. You want your linebacker to be an all pro or a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. You want your middle linebacker to be that type of dude that can be able to patrol the middle, to be able to stop the run, to be able to call the plays, whatever it may be. You want to see that safety come up and be able to stop the run in the backfield, get a tackle for loss, or be a ball hawk, intercepting everything that comes his way. That's ultimately what you want to see in Detroit. And if you're not seeing that, then you know we have a problem. So the rebuild should only be about getting better. That's what the rebuild needs to be totally about, is getting better. If the Lions are getting better, then that means that they're headed in the right direction. So we should not be winning 3 games this season, guys. The testament to us getting better is the wins that we have in the win column. That's going to prove to everyone and to the league that we are serious about getting better. That's going to prove to you as a fan that we've getting better. We have gotten better, I should say. That's going to prove to Brad Holmes that we have gotten better. That's going to prove to the media that we are headed in the right direction. The wins at the end of the day. So you can't come back into this season being 3-13-1. That's a no-no. You got to win 4 and above. 4 and above. So I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see the draft. I know it's almost here, and everybody is just thinking what the Lions are going to do ultimately. Are they going to stay at number 2? Are they going to trade back? Are they going to get more capital? Is anybody looking to come up to get any of these players? There's only a few players that people are probably looking at to come up and get, and I believe Malik Willis would be one of those guys. Maybe it may be Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe it might be Hutchinson. Maybe it may be someone else, one of the tackles that somebody is coveting. But normally when somebody is coming up, they're coming up for a quarterback. So maybe, the Lions have been wanting this Malik Willis just to be a smokescreen for other teams to come up, kind of using it as a bait thing because you have the opportunity to draft him and you're in the position to draft him, but you're using it as leverage to be able to get what you want. And that's a smart thing to do. But if don't nobody bite or nobody moves, then apparently this dude will probably end up with the Carolina Panthers, probably, if not them. Maybe Seattle, Malik will probably end up on. I don't think if Pittsburgh don't find a way to come up, I don't think that Pittsburgh will be able to get Malik Willis. They need to find a way to come up. If they really, because all the reports out there is about Malik Willis going with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. And if they truly, truly want Malik Willis, they're going to have to do whatever it takes to come up and get him. All right, you guys, this is Raw Detroit. Just keeping it raw, and I'll be back to you soon. Peace.